What is the most nutritious green plant that you can grow in your garden? The answer would be stinging nettle. So it's really high in vitamin K, which you need for your blood. It's really high in calcium. It's like kale is like one of the highest nutritious things you can eat, but stinging nettle is up here. And the nice thing about stinging nettle is once you plant it and get it is established, you don't have to replant it every year. It's a perennial. So my neighbors Mark and Winna Thilmany gave me this stinging nettle, and it's been growing here for about 8 or 9 years now. And it is such a blessing, and I'm amazed at like how much food we can get out of a small area. So we are going to propagate or transplant this because we want more of it than what we have. So I have a round nose shovel, and I would encourage you guys, maybe you live in a city somewhere, if you have a little space in your backyard, some garden vegetables won't thrive in, like if you have a little small backyard, because there's so much buildings that you're only going to get sunshine for half the day or a quarter of the day. But stinging nettle is something that even if you live in a big city, if you have even a big pot, you could grow it in a big pot, or preferably actually in the ground. Stinging nettle is something that you can grow, and you can harvest it and make green smoothies and improve your health. And I just encourage you guys, like if you can, get some stinging nettle. So you can, it does make seeds in the fall, and so you can start it from seed. In my opinion, it's easier to start it from just root cuttings. So we're just going to take our round nose shovel here and just kind of dig up a plug of earth. I'm just going around in a circle here. And so we've got a bunch of roots here. And they're really hanging on. Okay, good. We have our plug here. I'll put it in the corner of the wheelbarrow. And then here we have some very well rotted horse manure. Adding compost or rotten manure to your garden, it's kind of like a sponge, and it holds both air and water. And when it's really wet, you want air in the soil so that your plants don't drown out. And then when it gets really dry, you want moisture in your soil. And so your compost kind of balances things out to keep your plants from getting too wet or too dry. So very important key, compost. All right, let's go see about transplanting this. I'm just transplanting it over to this location because I want to experiment. I want to see if the stinging nettles will do better out here in the full sun, or if they're going to do better in partial shade. So that location there gets shade in the morning, and it gets some afternoon sun, but it's not full sun over there. And then I have another stinging nettle patch that's over more towards the east side of the house, and that's gets morning sun but no afternoon sun. So I like to experiment, and I think that it's going to do well over here, but we'll see what happens. This is very heavy clay right here. Ah. This is an ironweed root. I guess they call it ironweed because it's so tough. It's not a good weed to have in your garden. It makes plowing harder. This is like sin in our life. It can take over and cause trouble and choke out the good plants. All of us need Jesus to dig out the sin out of our life, take it out of our life. We can try to dig it out ourselves, but it won't work. We need the master gardener with his sharp shovel to cut it out. Okay. You'll notice that with the sod here, I'm putting it over to the side. So the goal is to put this sod upside down to kill it, and so it will rot and it'll make earthworm food. So I could dig a smaller hole, but it's best to spend the time to dig a deeper, bigger hole, and that loosens up the soil and makes it easy for the roots to get established. Now I'm going down a little deeper. And this soil I'm not going to take out, but I'm loosening it up. This is my friend Fred, and he helps to keep my garden happy and healthy and keeps things thriving. He helps to keep the soil from drying out too much, and so without the earthworms the soil would be so compacted that the rain couldn't get in there very well. They open up and they make a pathway for water, and they also make pathways for air, and those are two things that our plants have to have in order to live. So my friend Fred wants this rot so we'll have more food to eat. Okay, now I'm going to put my compost in the hole.
So, if people don't have compost like this, what can they do?
You can, when you drive down the road and you see a dead possum or a squirrel, you can dig a hole and bury it, and that'll fertilize your stinging nettles.
I think you can actually buy little bags of compost or something like that too.
You can.
I think there's something called black cow that my dad said something about.
Yeah, you can buy it. Now there is garden soil. They call it like garden soil, and it's black and it looks really nice. And sometimes that is like, it's not really, what's the word? Like it doesn't have a lot of value for your plants.
Are you talking like potting soil or?
It's just like garden soil. Sometimes they sell it at Walmart. But you want to look for something that's actually compost. All right, now we want to be careful to make sure that we put our sod upside down, because we don't want this sod to grow. We want it to die. This is very heavy clay. I think if my horses could choose, they would prefer to live down in South Carolina, where the soil is so sandy, it plows so much easier. They have to work really hard sometimes to plow this Kentucky clay. But clay is good. You can grow good stuff in clay. Another thing that would be helpful is some ashes. So I'm going to go grab a little bit of ashes and I'll be back. Okay, we have our ashes here. Ashes are a good source of phosphorus and potassium. Potassium is really important for root growth. Phosphorus helps leaf and fruit to develop.
So where did you get this from?
So since we cook and heat with wood, it came from the wood stove.
And what can you do if you don't have a wood stove?
Go camping and then have a campfire and gather your ashes. Or get to know your neighbors. You may have, maybe you heat with electric or you heat with propane. You don't have any ashes. Get to know your neighbors and go down the road and look for some smoke coming out of somebody's house through the chimney and say,
like
hey,
fireplace,
a fireplace, yeah. To ask your neighbors, hey, I'm starting to garden this year and I was wondering if I could have your ashes, and most likely they'll be like, oh yeah, sure. So I trim horses for a neighbor, and he's got a big mechanic shop and he heats with wood. And so whenever I trim his horses, I'm like, hey, can I clean out your stove? I need the ashes. And he's like, oh yeah, sure. So I've gotten a bunch of ashes from him.
So I've seen something at the store called pot ash. Is that the same thing?
No. Usually potash that's in the store is at a garden supply. It's got a salt base to it, and so when it dissolves, it can like burn earthworms and it can kill biological life. So there are natural sources of potash, just like there's the phosphate. There's like a rock phosphate that's mined out of, I think there's a deposit like in Florida, and so that's like a natural base, and so you can put that in your soil, and it will not kill biological life, and won't harm your earthworms. But the chemical fertilizers that have like your nitrogen, your phosphorus, and potassium, they have a salt base, and so plants do grow well and take a big uptake of it, but over time those because of the salt base, it can be harmful. Okay, so we got this plug here, and you see how there's like stuff sticking out there. It'll grow if I leave that sticking out, so I'm going to try to cut some of that grass off so that it doesn't grow. I'm not sure of this, but I think that the stinging nettle may have something that is similar to the pine tree. The pine tree puts something out that kind of retards grass from growing around it. And it appears to me like maybe the stinging nettle has something similar to that. Now, it would be recommended for us to harvest most of this, because since we cut so much roots, it can't really support all that growth anyway. And so usually when you're transplanting, it's best to prune your vegetation somewhat.
I like to prune it, and then when I see little new leaves and stuff, then I know, oh, it is doing good.
Yes. Yep. Okay, the last step is we're going to give it some water. I'm going to run over to the pond, and I'll be back soon. Now, if this was a really dry climate, I wouldn't have this mounded up on top of the mound. But since we get so much rain here, it's not really going to matter that it. But I do see a little spot here that I want to seal up.
Also, if you're not Titus, wear gloves when you're doing this.
Oh, you may be a big man with thick calluses, and you may not have any problems. That's interesting. I don't know if the camera can see it very well in that lighting. There's a little water bug there. He's in the pond. I don't know the name of it, but it's a pretty interesting little creature. And what's one thing that the plants cannot live without?
Water.
Water. The Bible says, "Ask ye of the Lord rain in the time of the latter rain. Ask ye of the Lord rain in the time of the latter rain. So the Lord will make bright clouds and give you showers of rain. To everyone grass in the field." Zechariah 10 verse 1. Jesus says, "I am the water of life." Many people are spiritually dehydrated. They are physically and spiritually dying because they don't have Jesus. They don't have Yeshua in their life. If you're dry today, you're not growing, you're not thriving, come to Jesus. Come to Yeshua. Let Him water your life, and He will. All right, we're going to prune these, and then later today we will use them in a green smoothie.
You can also dry it or freeze it if
Yes.
it's going to be bad weather.
Yeah, we should do a video and dry some of it. Yes. I should have dried a bunch of it last year, and then I could have put it in soup through the winter, and I didn't do that. But
And if we froze it, then we could have used it in smoothies when the snow and all that came.
yeah, and if you don't have a way to, like if you don't have a freezer and you can't freeze it, you could dry it, and then you could soak it overnight in water and then put it in your green smoothies in that way as well. Yep.
So this root ball that you just planted here has some sticks in it.
That's last year's growth. So if I would cut those off, it would make it look a little nicer. But soon that'll go up, and then you won't see them anymore.
So how tall does stinging nettle get?
If I wasn't harvesting mine at all, it could easily come up to about right here.
Wow.
I mean, it depends on, if you fertilize it. You had asked earlier about, well, what if a person doesn't have compost? Urine is sterile, and so that's one way that you can fertilize your stinging nettle. Which you can use human manure around your stinging nettles if you bury it, and you're not going to get contaminated if it's buried, kind of in the root zone. It's not according to code to do it that way, and so some people would be really repulsed by that idea, but that's one option too.
So there might be some people wondering about this mailbox. That's this idea and why it's there.
Oh, yes. Well, I work hard on some things and I'm lazy on others. So for 10 years, the mailbox has said Murphy on it. So
on one side.
On one side, and then the other side. Oh, okay, yeah, I put Morris on one side and it was Murphy on the other. So the mailbox used to be like right here, and when people would back out of the driveway here, they would knock it over. So it was knocked over multiple times. So Jonah has his little man cave up there, and we just put this culvert in, and then we took the mailbox out there, and I want to say thank you to Miguel and to Miguelito and Jonah, and they put this mailbox up, and so now we and it wasn't shutting right. It kept on opening up, and so Brother Randy, he's a newer volunteer here, he figured out that this was just a little bit dented right here, and he pushed it out, and now it stays shut. Yes, we're very happy with that. And for those of you that may be watching this and you want to get healthier and you want some stinging nettle, if you come here and I'm not here, and you want stinging nettles, grab you a shovel and dig out a little plug of stinging nettles and take it home with you. And if I'm here, I'll dig it out for you. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for your prayers. And any other questions? Okay.